So the technique that we're going to practice today is one that I've been working with for about 3 years. It's called Hatsu Rei Ho, from the traditional Japanese Reiki system. So it's outside of the traditional yogic system, but actually what a lot of people don't know about the traditional system of Reiki, as opposed to what we know from the more sort of westernized system of Reiki, which is where we think of it as more of a kind of hands-on complementary therapy, is actually it was originally taught very similarly to how yoga was taught, just in a different part of Asia. And although the techniques are very different, they're kind of guiding the individual towards the same kind of place, this inward place, and this place of kind of getting to know yourself on these deeper and also the more subtle levels. And they, both lineages and both practices, are very much rooted in the same kind of philosophical truth of oneness. So it's about sort of remembering and guiding our awareness back to that place of oneness within us, within that connection of mind, body, spirit, but also that more universal truth of oneness, that we're all divinely connected with one another. So they're very, very similar practices in that sense. And this technique, Hatsu Rei Ho, in the kind of first teachings of Reiki, is one of the kind of daily practices that you're said to work with. So it's a really good one to work with daily. It's almost like a yogic kriya, in the sense that it's quite a cleansing practice. It's quite a good way to kind of clear your energy, but also connect with energy and sort of feed your life force. And what I quite like about it, I tend to work with it sometimes on its own. Sometimes I combine this practice with the practice that we're going to do next week and kind of bring them together, which are from different lineages, but they work really nicely together. So you might explore that as and when you have time from next week, once you have those recordings too. But in and of itself, it's a lovely practice. It's quite a short practice. It's only 10 minutes or so. That's how long we'll do it for. But it's something that when you begin to guide yourself, once you learn the technique, you can kind of spend as much time as you like with each segment. So sometimes it can last more like 15, 20 minutes, depending on how much time you have and how much time you want to spend on it. But what I quite like about it is it's quite ritualistic, and there's different parts of it. So there's different ways in which you're changing where you're focusing your awareness and your attention. So if you're somebody that struggles with that part of meditation, focusing your concentration, it's quite a nice beginning practice to kind of keep changing where you're guiding the awareness and attention, so it keeps it a bit fresh. So I'll go through it, because obviously as I guide it, you'll have your eyes closed. So the first part of the Hatsu Rei Ho begins with a dry body brushing. And so what we begin with, one hand on one shoulder. I'll guide you through this, so you don't need to do this now. And you sort of sweep the hand across the body. And we do it 3 times, twice on the first side. That it wasn't a written down tradition, it's an oral tradition, so we don't actually know why they do it twice on the first side, but they just do. But it's 3 times. And when we do the same sort of thing with the arms. And when you're sort of doing this dry brushing, we'll work with the breath, which I'll guide. We sort of breathe in, and with the exhale, we sort of have this intention of kind of flicking away any energy that we don't need, this kind of intention of clearing and cleansing. And the second part, we bring the arms above the head. I'll just bring them a bit lower so that you can see them with the fingers touching, but the arms will reach up above the head. With a softness in the elbows and the shoulders, you're feeling for sensing the sense of energy traveling down into the hands, down through the arms, through the heart space, and into the belly area. And then as you breathe out, it sort of travels back up and back out through the hands. So it's sort of journeying down with the breath in and journeying up with the breath out. And within this particular practice, and in quite a lot of these practices, in the same way that in yoga we breathe into the belly, we spend a lot of time moving breath and moving energy down into the belly in this practice too, because across many different lineages where you're working with energy or working with meditation, the belly it's quite a sort of widely accepted place, of a place that we can cultivate, generate and create energy. You might be familiar with the chakras and the sort of maybe the more westernized chakra system, which is the 7 chakra system. And actually there are so many different systems of chakras that I won't go into them now. But the belly is kind of an area that in Reiki, they call it the tanden, this kind of hub of energy. So we're sort of imagining the energy moving down into the belly, sort of building there and then moving it back out. So that is the second part. And then the arms will relax down, and it's the next part called Joshin Kok Yoho breath. It's very similar to a yogic pranayama. We breathe in, we hold, and we breathe out. And as we breathe in, we imagine the energy sort of coming down from the crown of the head, down into the belly. We pause only for as long as feels comfortable. And then with the exhale, we imagine the energy sort of spreading outwardly in all directions. So that's probably quite familiar to most of you. And then the last phase, we bring the hands together at the heart, a little bit like Anjali Mudra. And there's two parts to this practice of Gasso, where to begin with, we bring the awareness to the space where the two middle finger points meet. And I quite like to, I don't know if it's cheating or not, but I quite like to almost press the two middle fingers a little bit more together than the other fingers. That helps me to concentrate. So if it works for you, you can work with that. And then we let go of that and sort of soften that. And then we imagine that as we breathe in, the energy is traveling through the fingertips, down through the hands, the shoulders, down into the heart space, down into the belly, and then back up and out through the hands. And that is technically where the Hatsu Rei Ho traditional practice ends. At the end of this practice, I'm going to just give you a bit of space, about a minute or so, where, you know, it's just space without any of those techniques, just to sort of really lean into the meditation. So that is what we'll do. And you can just find yourself to a comfortable seat, anywhere that might be. And just let the hands, to begin with, rest wherever they comfortably want to, and close your eyes. And just silently affirming that you are now beginning Hatsu Rei Ho. And we begin with that dry body brushing. So bringing your right hand to the top of the front of left side of chest or shoulder, and take a big breath in. Using the exhale to brush across the body, so down towards the right side, and almost flicking energy away as you do so. Then bringing left hand to the top of the left shoulder, breathing in. As you exhale, this time across the body over towards the left, flicking that energy away. Once again on the left, so right hand comes to left shoulder, breathing in. Exhale, we're sweeping and flicking. And then take the left arm forwards, palm down. Right hand comes to the top of the left shoulder, take a big breath in. And as you exhale, again, sweeping and flicking the energy. Left hand comes to top of the right shoulder, breathe in. Exhale, sweeping it down and across. Once more on the left. Right hand to the top of the left shoulder, breathing in. Exhale. And you can just let the hands come to rest onto the knees, onto the lap, or anywhere else. Invite elbows and shoulders to loosen and soften. For this pranayama part of the practice, Joshin Kok Yoho. So this is the practice where we breathe down into the belly, and as we breathe down into the belly, we almost visualize or sense that there's an energy traveling down from the crown of the head, down through the chest, down into the belly, and then pausing at the top of the inhale, only for as long as feels comfortable. And then as you exhale, feeling the breath and this sense of energy spreading outwardly in all directions. So if you are a visual person, you might visualize that like a light traveling down through the crown of the head and into the belly as you breathe in. And a light spreading outwardly in all directions as you breathe out. But you don't need to worry if you're not a visual person. You might just sense that there's that awareness moving with your breath. And that pause in between can be as long as feels comfortable. For some people, that's just a momentary pause, if pausing and holding the breath isn't a soothing practice for you. If you are comfortable with holding for perhaps an extended pause, maybe within that time and that space, feeling a sense of the energy in the tanden, the energy in the belly, almost building and amplifying. And then again, the breath out, the energy spreads wide outwardly in all directions. So guiding yourself as you breathe in and sensing the energy traveling down through the crown of the head into the belly. Pausing as the energy builds in the belly. Exhale, feeling the energy spreading outwardly in all directions. Just a few more rounds of that, guiding yourself at your own pace, a pace that feels soothing. And just make this your last round. And letting go of that once you've finished. And bringing the hands together at the heart. The thumbs can rest into the center of the chest. And just bringing the awareness to the tips of where the two middle fingers meet. And if it is helpful for you to kind of maybe intentionally almost press those 2 points a little bit more together than the other fingers. But just feeling awareness on where the tips of the two middle fingers meet. You can keep the breath smooth and slow, but no need to breathe in any particular way. Just the practice of focusing your attention and awareness on those 2 points. The space in between, you might even sense energy there in the form of pulse, movement. If you are pressing the 2 points where the middle fingers meet together a little more than the others, you can just soften that. And now with your breath in, sense energy moving down from the fingertips, flooding through the hands, through the arms, through the shoulders, down through the chest, down into the belly. And then the breath out, energy traveling up from the belly, through the chest, through the shoulders, back through the arms and back into the hands. So breathing in and sensing energy entering in through the tips of the fingers, down through the hands, arms, shoulders, chest, belly. Breathing out, that energy travels back up. And again, just guiding yourself. That might be something that's visual again, if there is a visual that's helpful, whether it's a color or a light, or maybe it's just that sense of awareness moving as you breathe in from the fingers through the hands, almost in the same way that you might scan your awareness through the body in a yoga nidra practice. Maybe that's the way that you connect with that if you're not visual. Breathing out, it travels back up the way that it came. You can release the hands anywhere onto the knees or thighs, either palms up or palms down. And just silently affirming that you have now finished Hatsu Rei Ho. And just surrender any kind of effort around the breath. Not needing to breathe in any particular way, but still aware of the breath as it moves in and out. Letting go of the effort of having anywhere in particular to focus your awareness or attention on. Just surrendering all of the efforts from the practice and shifting more into this being way, away from any kind of doing. And if thoughts come and go, which they will, just watch them, allow them to be, notice them and observe them without needing to necessarily be too involved or distractive, but just allow thoughts to be there. Almost in the same way that you would allow clouds to move, or rain or wind to be there, or noises from the neighborhood to be there. In the same way that you allow everything that is around you to be there without needing to change it. Allow thoughts to be there, but somewhat in the background. Just start to bring some awareness back into the body and feeling the hands, noticing any movements that the hands might want to make as you bring your awareness back. That might be brushing the thumbs over the other fingers, or opening and closing the hands, or even rolling the wrists a few times. Just letting the body initiate any movement that it might like to, whether that's another movement, changing the way the legs are crossed, or any reaching movements. Bringing the hands together at the heart, resting thumbs into the heart space and bowing chin towards the chest. And just noticing the effects of this time, this practice, because these different tools and techniques might land differently from one another and create different things on different days. Just noticing today what the practice has created. And thanking yourself for carving this time and space to pause, turn inwards, and cultivate presence. And start to rub the palms together and create some heat and some energy between the hands. And cover the eyes and feeling that warmth radiating back. Gently blinking the eyes open underneath. And slowly move the hands over the head, shoulders, and just spread that energy throughout your body as you come back. Hari Om, Namaste, thank you.